Elliot, you ruined me, and you actually think you're the victim?
Taryn, you screwed yourself. I just finally stopped covering for you.
The champagne was getting warm, and I was getting tired of staring at my phone. 3 hours. 3 goddamn hours I'd been sitting in this overpriced hotel suite, watching the ice melt in the bucket while my wife Taryn sent me increasingly creative excuses about why she couldn't make it to our 10th wedding anniversary getaway. Traffic is insane, babe. Flight delayed again. We'll catch the red eye, promise. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Elliot Marner, 41 years old, and I fix computers for a living. Not glamorous, but it pays well enough to afford places like the Ocean View Resort, where I was currently contemplating whether to drink both bottles of Dom Perignon myself or just throw them off the balcony. The suite still smelled like Taryn's perfume from when she'd packed her bags this morning. Tom Ford Black Orchid, $150 an ounce. Everything about my wife was expensive these days, ever since her travel blog, Wanderlust with Taryn, started taking off. Suddenly she needed designer luggage for brand consistency and first-class tickets because Coach doesn't photograph well. I walked to the window overlooking the Atlantic. The resort was beautiful, I'd give it that. Taryn had picked it herself, gushing about how Insta-worthy the sunset views would be. Should have been our first clue about her priorities. My phone buzzed. Not Taryn, Bianca. Bianca Coyle had been my friend since college, back when she was studying hospitality management and I was drowning in computer science coursework. Now she was a flight attendant for Delta, and more importantly, she was one of the few people who still told me the truth about everything. Hey, Elliot, weird question. Wasn't Taryn supposed to fly out this morning? I'm working the Boston to Portland route, and I swear I saw her in first class with some guy. Tattooed, pretty boy type. They were sharing a bottle of wine, and she was giggling like a teenager. The champagne flute slipped from my hand and shattered on the marble floor. I stared at the text for a full minute, reading it over and over. Then I called Bianca. Tell me exactly what you saw, I said without preamble. Elliot, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if I should... Tell me. She sighed. Row 3A and 3B. She was wearing that blue dress, the one with the low neckline. The guy looked like he stepped out of a fitness magazine. Dark hair, sleeve tattoos, expensive camera around his neck. They were very comfortable with each other. Did you see them get off together? Yeah. He had his hand on her lower back, guiding her through the terminal. Very coupley body language. I hung up and sat on the bed, staring at the wall. 10 years of marriage. 10 years of me working overtime to support her dreams, her blog, her brand building. 10 years of, sorry honey, I have to post content. And this collaboration could be huge for us. Us. What a joke. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Taryn. Ugh, now they're saying mechanical issues. Might not make it until tomorrow morning. I'm so sorry, baby. Make sure to get pics of the sunset for me. The lies came so easily to her now. I opened my laptop and started typing. If Taryn wanted to play games, she'd pick the wrong opponent. I might just be an IT guy, but I knew how to make people's digital lives very complicated. First, I changed the password on our joint checking account. Then I canceled all the resort reservations under both our names. The spa appointments, the couple's massage, the romantic dinner at the Lighthouse restaurant, gone. I transferred the money back to my personal account, the one Taryn didn't have access to. Then I packed my bags. The hotel staff looked confused when I stopped at the front desk. Checking out early, Mr. Marner? The clerk asked. Change of plans. My wife won't be joining me after all. She's busy with work. I left an envelope on the pillow with Taryn's name on it. Inside, just a simple note. Enjoy your trip with whoever makes you late. The room's paid for through tonight. Don't bother coming home. E. As I drove away from the resort, my phone started ringing. Taryn's ringtone. Girls just want to have fun. How fitting. I didn't answer. The next morning, I woke up in my new studio apartment across town. Funny how quickly you can find a place when you're motivated. The landlord had been thrilled to get a tenant who could pay 6 months upfront in cash. My phone showed 47 missed calls from Taryn and 32 text messages that ranged from confused to angry to desperate. I deleted them all without reading past the first few words. Instead, I called my lawyer. Dave, it's Elliot Marner. I need to file for divorce. Jesus, Elliot, what happened? You and Taryn seemed solid. She's been cheating. I have proof. What kind of proof? The kind that holds up in court. While I waited for Dave to draw up the papers, I did what I do best. I dug into the digital trail. Taryn wasn't as careful as she thought. Our shared iCloud account was a goldmine of information. Photos from the past 3 months told a story. The tattooed guy was Neil Porter, a photographer and lifestyle influencer with 200,000 Instagram followers. He specialized in travel photography and had been collaborating with Taryn on several recent posts. Their DMs made me sick. Months of flirting, planning secret meetups, and discussing how to hide their relationship. The most recent exchange was from yesterday morning. Neil, can't wait to have you all to myself in Portland. Taryn, I know. Told he it was a work trip. He's so clueless, lol. Neil, poor guy has no idea his wife is about to get thoroughly photographed. Taryn, stop, you're terrible. I screenshotted everything, then I started making phone calls. Taryn's biggest sponsor was a boutique hotel chain called Serenity Suites. They paid her $5,000 a month to feature their properties on her blog and social media. The marketing director, Jessica Walsh, was a no-nonsense woman who'd built her career on avoiding scandal. Ms. Walsh, this is Elliot Marner, Taryn Marner's husband. I thought you should know that your brand ambassador is currently using your company's partnership to facilitate an extramarital affair. Excuse me? I have documentation showing that Taryn has been using sponsored trips to meet with her lover, a photographer named Neil Porter. They've been conducting their relationship under the guise of professional collaborations, which means your company has been unknowingly funding adultery. I emailed her the screenshots while we talked. Mr. Marner, this is very concerning. We'll need to review her contract immediately. I thought you might. Next, I called Neil's agency, Apex Creative. They represented influencers and content creators, and their contracts had strict morality clauses. Sleeping with a married client while representing yourself as a professional photographer? That was definitely a breach. By noon, both Taryn and Neil were getting very angry phone calls from their respective business partners. My phone rang. Taryn again. This time I answered. What the hell did you do? She screamed. Serenity just dropped me. They're demanding I pay back the advance for the Portland shoot. Funny how consequences work, I said calmly. Elliot, please let me explain. It's not what you think. Really? Because I think you've been screwing a photographer while telling me you were working. Am I wrong? Silence. That's what I thought. It just happened, okay? It wasn't planned. We were working together and things got complicated and... For 3 months? Things got complicated for 3 months? How did you... I read your messages, Taryn, all of them. The planning, the lies, the jokes about your clueless husband. Did you really think I'd never find out? Elliot, please. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But we can fix this. I'll end it with Neil right now. I'll do whatever it takes. You're right about one thing. You will end it with Neil, because he's about to be very busy dealing with his own problems. I hung up and called Bianca. How do you feel about doing a little more detective work? I asked. What do you need? Everything you can find out about Neil Porter. Where he lives, where he works, who he hangs out with. I want to know what makes this guy tick. Consider it done. I have friends at every major airline. If he's traveled anywhere in the past year, I'll find out. While Bianca worked her contacts, I focused on social media. Taryn and Neil had been careful not to post obvious couple photos, but they hadn't been careful enough. I created a timeline showing them in the same locations on the same dates, wearing clothes that suggested they'd been shopping together, making inside jokes in comment threads that only made sense if you knew they were sleeping together. Then I created an anonymous Instagram account called Influencer Truth and posted it all. The response was immediate and brutal. Taryn's followers, who'd been invested in her perfect marriage brand, felt betrayed. The comments ranged from disappointed to vicious. So much for relationship goals. This is disgusting. I bought your stupid travel guide because I thought you were genuine. What else have you been lying about? Your poor husband. I hope he takes you for everything you're worth. Within hours, Taryn Marnerly's was trending on Twitter. My phone rang again. This time it was Sasha Lynn, Taryn's PR manager. Elliot, we need to talk. This situation is getting out of hand. Is it? Seems pretty well in hand to me. Look, I know you're hurt, but destroying Taryn's career isn't going to fix your marriage. I'm not trying to fix my marriage, Sasha. I'm ending it. Think about this rationally. Taryn makes good money. If you divorce her now, while her brand is in crisis, you'll get less in the settlement. I don't want her money. I want her to understand that actions have consequences. Elliot, please, let me set up a meeting. The three of us can sit down and work this out like adults. The time for adult conversations was before she decided to cheat on me for 3 months. I hung up and checked my anonymous Instagram account. It had gained 5,000 followers in 6 hours. Time for Phase 2. Neil Porter lived in a trendy loft downtown, the kind of place that screamed, "I make money off my looks." Bianca had done excellent work. She'd tracked his travel patterns, his favorite restaurants, even his gym schedule. The guy was predictable, which made him vulnerable. I didn't plan to do anything illegal. I'm not stupid. But Neil struck me as the type of guy who'd built his whole identity around being untouchable, and I wanted to test that theory. He worked out at Precision Fitness every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Expensive gym, lots of mirrors, the kind of place where people went to be seen as much as to exercise. I signed up for a day pass. Neil was easy to spot. 6'2", covered in tattoos, the kind of artificial confidence that comes from having women throw themselves at you on social media. He was doing bicep curls in front of the mirror, occasionally checking his phone between sets. I approached casually, pretending to need the weight rack next to him. "Excuse me," I said. "Mind if I work in?" He looked at me with the mild annoyance of someone who wasn't used to being interrupted. "Sure, whatever." "Thanks. Hey, don't I know you from somewhere? You look familiar." He perked up slightly. "Maybe Instagram? I'm a photographer. Neil Porter." "Oh, right. You do travel stuff. My wife follows you, I think." "Taryn Marner?" His face went white. "Yeah, we've collaborated a few times." "That's cool. She's actually supposed to be working with you in Portland this week, right?" He fumbled his phone, nearly dropping it. That project got canceled." "Really? That's weird. She told me yesterday that everything was still on track, said you two were going to get some amazing shots." Neil was sweating now, and it wasn't from the workout. "Look, man, I think there might be some confusion." "No confusion at all," I said, stepping closer. "See, I'm Elliot, Taryn's husband, and I know exactly what kind of shots you've been taking." He tried to back away, but the weight rack was behind him. "Listen, I can explain." "No need. I've seen the DMs, all of them. The question is, what are we going to do about it?" "Look, I never meant for this to happen. It just..." "Just what? Just happened? For 3 months? All those text messages about how clueless I was, those were just accidents?" Other gym members were starting to stare. Neil glanced around nervously. "Can we not do this here?" he whispered. "Why not? Aren't you proud of your work? I mean, you've been documenting it pretty thoroughly." His jaw tightened. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand something. You picked the wrong guy to screw over. I might not look like much, but I'm very good at making people's lives complicated." "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise." I walked away, leaving him standing there with his mouth open. That night, I put Phase 3 into motion. Neil's Instagram account was his livelihood. Brand partnerships, photography bookings, his entire professional network. He posted daily, usually shirtless gym selfies or artistic shots of his latest travels. His engagement rates were solid, his follower count was growing, and he was clearly making good money. I couldn't hack his account. That would be illegal. But I could make his life very uncomfortable in other ways. I created a dozen fake accounts and started leaving comments on his posts. Nothing threatening or abusive, just uncomfortable truths. "Great shot. Is this from your trip with Taryn Marner? Her husband says hi. Love your work, especially the behind-the-scenes collaboration with married influencers. Such artistic vision. Do you always mix business with adultery?" The comments got noticed. Neil's real followers started asking questions. His recent posts started getting flooded with questions about Taryn, their relationship, whether he knew she was married. He tried deleting the comments, but I was faster. Within hours, every post on his feed had multiple references to the affair. Then I escalated. I found the email address for his biggest client, an outdoor gear company called Summit Adventures. They'd been featuring Neil in their marketing campaigns, positioning him as an authentic adventure photographer who lived by a code of integrity and respect for nature. I sent them a simple email with screenshots of Neil's messages with Taryn, along with a note. "Thought you should know that your brand ambassador has been using his professional photography work to facilitate an extramarital affair. Probably not the kind of integrity you want associated with your brand." Summit Adventures dropped him the next day. My phone rang. It was Taryn, crying. "Elliot, please, you have to stop this. Neil's career is being destroyed." "Good. This isn't just hurting him. It's hurting me too. I've lost 3 more sponsors today. My blog traffic is down 70%. People are calling me a fraud." "Aren't you?" "I made a mistake. One mistake. Does that mean I deserve to lose everything I've worked for?" "You made a mistake every day for 3 months. Every lie you told me, every time you pretended to be working when you were with him, every time you came home and acted like the loving wife while planning your next hookup, those weren't mistakes, Taryn. Those were choices." I was going to end it. I swear I was. It was exciting, feeling wanted again. I wanted you. For 10 years, I wanted you. I worked overtime to pay for your dreams. I supported your blog when it was making $50 a month. I believed in you when nobody else did, but apparently that wasn't exciting enough. Elliot, please. I know I hurt you. I know I screwed up, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes. It's too late for that? What do you mean? Check your email. I hung up and waited. 5 minutes later, my phone exploded with calls and texts. Taryn had received the divorce papers. But I wasn't done yet. The thing about destroying someone's life is that it reveals who their real friends are. Over the next week, I watched Taryn's social circle implode in real time. Sasha, her PR manager, was the first to jump ship. She sent me a text. I'm dropping Taryn as a client. This situation is too toxic for my other influencers. But I wanted you to know, this isn't the first time she's done this. I called her immediately. What do you mean, not the first time? There was a photographer in Miami last year, and a travel blogger in San Francisco 6 months ago. I managed to keep both situations quiet, but Neil was different. He was sloppy, and she was getting careless. Why are you telling me this? Because she threw me under the bus yesterday, told a potential client that I was the one who set up her meetings with Neil, that I encouraged the relationship for publicity. She's trying to save herself by destroying everyone around her. Do you have proof of the other affairs? Screenshots, emails, hotel receipts. I document everything for legal protection. Send them to my lawyer. Within an hour, Dave had enough evidence to make Taryn's adultery case airtight. In our state, infidelity was grounds for an at-fault divorce, which meant she wouldn't be entitled to alimony or half of our assets. But Sasha wasn't done. There's something else you should know, she said. Taryn's been hiding money. She has a separate bank account under her maiden name, and she's been funneling cash from her sponsorship deals into it. I helped her set it up 2 years ago. She said it was for tax purposes. How much money? At least $40,000, maybe more. I added financial fraud to the divorce filing. Meanwhile, my friend circle was rallying around me. These were people I'd known for years, college buddies, co-workers, neighbors, people who'd watched me support Taryn's dreams while she gradually became more distant and demanding. My best friend Mike called me that Thursday. Dude, I have to tell you something. Last month at the barbecue, when you went inside to get more beer, Taryn was showing pictures on her phone to the other wives, pictures of some guy in a hotel room. She was bragging about her photography collaborations and making jokes about how you had no idea what she was really doing. She showed them pictures of Neil? Yeah, but not just professional stuff. Personal stuff. Intimate stuff. She was laughing about it, man. Laughing about cheating on you. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. It was one thing to cheat. It was another thing entirely to humiliate me in front of our friends. Who else was there? Sarah, Jennifer, Lisa, Amanda, all the wives from the neighborhood group. These were women I'd known for years, women whose husbands I'd helped with computer problems, whose kids I'd taught to code, whose birthday parties I'd attended, and they'd all sat there while my wife bragged about betraying me. I started making phone calls. The first call was to Sarah Martinez, Mike's wife. Sarah, it's Elliot. I think we need to talk. Oh, God. Elliot, I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you, but Taryn made us promise. She made you promise what? She said you two had an arrangement, that you knew about Neil but preferred not to discuss it. She said you were okay with her having a creative partner, as long as she was discreet. And you believed that? I didn't know what to believe. It seemed crazy, but Taryn was so confident about it. She showed us texts that she said were from you, giving her permission to travel with Neil. Those texts were fake, Sarah. I had no idea about any of this until last week. Silence. Oh my God. Elliot, I'm so sorry. We should have said something. We should have told you. Yes, you should have. I hung up and called Jennifer Kim, Tom's wife. Jennifer, why didn't you tell me about Taryn and Neil? Elliot, we thought you knew. Taryn said. Taryn lied about everything, and you all chose to believe her instead of talking to me directly. We didn't want to get involved in your marriage. You were already involved. The moment you decided to keep her secret, you picked a side. The conversation with Lisa went the same way. So did the one with Amanda. They'd all believed Taryn's lies because it was easier than confronting an uncomfortable truth. By Friday, the neighborhood group chat was in chaos. The wives were fighting among themselves, blaming each other for not speaking up. The husbands were angry at their wives for keeping secrets. Several couples were having their own marital problems as a result of the fallout. Taryn had managed to poison an entire social circle with her lies. But the worst was yet to come. Saturday morning, I got a call from my brother-in-law, Jake, Taryn's younger brother, the one person in her family who'd always treated me like family instead of like an inconvenience. Elliot, man, I don't know how to say this, but Taryn called me last night. She's telling everyone that you've been abusive, that you've been controlling her finances and threatening her. She's saying the divorce is because you found out she was planning to leave you, not because she was cheating. She's lying. I know, man. I know. But she's convincing. She's got mom and dad believing her. They're talking about hiring her a lawyer and helping her fight the divorce. Let them. I have documentation of everything. That's not all, though. She's also saying that you've been stalking Neil, that you threatened him at the gym, and that you've been harassing his clients and sabotaging his business. I never threatened him. What did you say to him exactly? I told Jake about the gym confrontation. He was quiet for a long moment. Elliot, I believe you, but that could be interpreted as threatening, and the stuff with his clients and his social media, that could be seen as harassment. Are you saying I should have just let them get away with it? I'm saying you need to be careful. Taryn's building a case that you're the bad guy here. She's trying to flip the script. After Jake hung up, I sat in my apartment thinking. Taryn was smarter than I'd given her credit for. She was using my own actions against me, painting herself as the victim of an abusive husband who couldn't handle her success. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd forgotten that I was very good at documenting things. Monday morning brought the call I'd been expecting. Mr. Marner, this is Detective Rodriguez with the City Police. We've received a complaint about harassment and cyberbullying. We'd like you to come in and answer some questions. Am I under arrest? No, sir. We just want to hear your side of the story. I called Dave, my lawyer, and we met at the police station. Detective Rodriguez was a tired-looking woman in her 40s who seemed genuinely interested in getting to the truth rather than just closing a case. Mr. Marner, your wife has filed a complaint alleging that you've been harassing her and her business associate, Neil Porter. She says you've been making threatening phone calls, sabotaging their professional relationships, and engaging in cyberbullying. Dave slid a folder across the table. Detective, my client has documentation showing that his wife has been engaged in an extramarital affair for several months. Every action he's taken has been in response to her adultery and the lies she's told to cover it up. Rodriguez flipped through the folder. Screenshots of the DMs, bank records showing the hidden account, witness statements from Bianca about seeing them together, documentation of Taryn's lies to sponsors and friends. This is comprehensive, she said. My client is an IT professional, Dave explained. He documents everything. What about the alleged threat at the gym? I leaned forward. I told Neil Porter that I was good at making people's lives complicated. That's not a threat of violence. That's a statement of fact. I'm good with computers and social media. I use those skills to expose the truth about his relationship with my wife. And the business sabotage? I contacted his clients and sponsors with factual information about his conduct. They made their own decisions about whether they wanted to continue working with him. Rodriguez looked at the evidence for another 10 minutes, then closed the folder. Mr. Marner, I'm not going to file charges. What you did was aggressive, but it doesn't appear to be illegal. However, I'd advise you to avoid any further contact with Mr. Porter or your wife outside of the divorce proceedings. Understood. As we left the station, Dave grinned. She overplayed her hand. Filing a false police report isn't going to look good in divorce court. But Taryn wasn't done fighting. That afternoon, I got a call from my boss, Janet Morrison, the IT director at Coastal Insurance. Elliot, I need you to come in. We've received some concerning information about your conduct outside of work. What kind of information? Just come in. We'll discuss it here. I drove to the office with a growing sense of dread. Janet was waiting in the conference room with HR Director Paul Chen and a woman I didn't recognize. Elliot, this is Margaret Foster from our legal department. We've received a complaint from a woman named Taryn Marner, who claims to be your wife. She is my wife. We're getting divorced. She alleges that you've been using company resources to harass and cyberbully her and her business associates. She says you've been using our computers and internet connection to create fake social media accounts and send threatening messages. I stared at them. That's completely false. I've never used company resources for personal business, and I've never sent threatening messages to anyone. Margaret slid a printed email across the table. She's provided what she claims are screenshots of threatening messages sent from an IP address registered to this company. I looked at the screenshots. They showed Instagram DMs threatening Neil with violence, messages that were crude and explicit and completely unlike anything I would ever write. The timestamp showed they'd been sent during work hours from an account called Elliot Marner. These are fake, I said immediately. I never created that account, and I never sent those messages. Look at the username. It's spelled wrong. My name is Elliot with 2 T's, not Elliot with 2 L's and 2 T's. Janet frowned. But the IP address can be spoofed. Anyone with basic technical knowledge can make it look like a message came from a different IP address. This is a setup. I pulled out my phone and showed them my Instagram account. Look, here's my real account. I've never DM'd Neil Porter from this account or any other. I can prove it. Paul leaned forward. How? Every message sent from our network is logged by our security system. I designed that system myself. If someone had actually sent threatening DMs from our IP address during work hours, there would be a record in the server logs. Can you check that now? Absolutely. We went down to my office, and I pulled up the network monitoring system. The logs showed every external connection made from our IP address, including social media activity. There were no Instagram messages sent to Neil Porter's account, no activity from any account called Elliot Myrand 3R. These messages were never sent from our network, I said. Someone created fake screenshots to make it look like I was using company resources to harass Neil. Margaret examined the evidence. Who would have the technical knowledge to create fake screenshots like this? Anyone who knows Photoshop. It's not that difficult. Janet looked relieved. So you're saying Taryn fabricated this complaint? I'm saying someone did. And since she's the only one who benefits from making me look bad, she's the most likely suspect. We printed out the server logs, and Margaret said she'd include them in the company's response to any legal action Taryn might take. As I drove home, I realized that Taryn had declared total war. She wasn't just trying to win the divorce, she was trying to destroy my life completely. My job, my reputation, my freedom, everything was fair game. But she'd made a critical error. She'd tried to frame me for something I didn't do, and she'd done it in a way that left evidence of her deception. Time to end this. That night, I called an emergency meeting with Dave, Bianca, and Sasha. We met at a 24-hour diner downtown, the kind of place where nobody paid attention to other people's conversations. She's escalating, I told them. The police complaint, the fake harassment evidence, trying to get me fired. She's not just fighting the divorce anymore. She's trying to destroy me completely. Sasha stirred her coffee thoughtfully. I've been thinking about this since yesterday. Taryn's always been manipulative, but this level of calculated deception is new. Someone's advising her. What do you mean? The fake screenshots, the police complaint, the timing of everything, it's too coordinated. She's not smart enough to plan this kind of campaign on her own. Bianca leaned forward. You think Neil's helping her? Maybe, or maybe someone else entirely. But here's what I know. Taryn's been in contact with a divorce attorney named Patricia Vance. Vance specializes in high-conflict divorces, and she's known for using aggressive tactics to destroy opposing parties. Dave nodded grimly. I know Vance. She's good, but she's also ruthless. If she's advising Taryn, things are going to get worse before they get better. How much worse? Restraining orders, more false police reports, attempts to freeze your assets. She'll try to paint you as an abusive stalker who can't be trusted with money or freedom. I felt a cold anger settling in my chest. Then we need to move first. What do you have in mind? I pulled out my laptop and opened a folder I'd been building for the past week. Taryn thinks she's the only one who can play dirty. She's wrong. The folder contained everything I'd gathered about Taryn's deception, not just the affair, but the financial fraud, the lies to sponsors, the fake police report, the fabricated harassment evidence. It also contained something else, a detailed timeline of her social media posts over the past 6 months. Look at this, I said, showing them the screen. Taryn's been posting about our perfect marriage while she was cheating. Look at these captions. So grateful for my supportive husband. 10 years and still going strong. Elliot is my rock. All of these were posted on days when she was texting Neil about their next hookup. Sasha whistled. That's really bad for her brand. Her followers invested in the marriage story. If they see this timeline, they'll realize she's been lying to them for months, Bianca finished. Not just about the affair, but about everything. Exactly, but that's not the best part. I clicked to another folder. Remember how Taryn said she was going to end things with Neil? Well, she lied about that too. The screenshots showed recent messages between Taryn and Neil, sent after our confrontation at the hotel. They were planning to weather the scandal together, talking about moving to Los Angeles and starting over as a couple. Neil was encouraging Taryn to take Elliot for everything he's worth in the divorce. She's not sorry, I said. She's not remorseful. She's angry that she got caught, and she's planning to continue the relationship. Dave studied the evidence. This is good, But how do we use it without looking like we're stooping to her level? We don't release it ourselves, I said. We let someone else do it. I turned to Sasha. You said Taryn threw you under the bus with potential clients? Yeah. She's been telling people that I was the mastermind behind her affairs, that I set everything up for publicity. How would you like to set the record straight? Sasha's eyes lit up. What did you have in mind? You're a PR professional. You understand how to manage a crisis. What would happen if all of this information, the timeline, the messages, the financial fraud, the fake police reports, what would happen if it all came out at once? It would be devastating, complete career destruction. But it would have to be presented carefully, with context and documentation. Otherwise, it just looks like revenge. What if it came from a credible source? Someone with inside knowledge who was also a victim of Taryn's lies. Sasha smiled slowly. Someone like her former PR manager, who was falsely accused of facilitating her affairs? Exactly. We spent the next 2 hours crafting the strategy. Sasha would write a detailed blog post explaining her side of the story, including all the evidence of Taryn's deception. She'd frame it as a cautionary tale about the dark side of influencer culture, focusing on the lies and manipulation rather than the personal drama. The post would include everything: the affair timeline, the financial fraud, the fake harassment claims, the continued relationship with Neil, but it would be presented as a professional expose, not a personal attack. When do we publish? Sasha asked. Tomorrow, right before Taryn's scheduled appearance on the Lifestyle Influencers podcast. She's supposed to be discussing her journey through adversity and how she's rebuilding her brand after false accusations. Bianca grinned. You're going to destroy her right before she tries to rehabilitate her image? I'm going to let the truth destroy her. There's a difference. We shook hands and went our separate ways. Tomorrow would be the end of this nightmare, one way or another. But as I drove home, I couldn't shake the feeling that Taryn had one more surprise waiting for me. I was right. I woke up Tuesday morning to find my apartment building surrounded by news vans. My phone was buzzing with calls from reporters, neighbors, and random numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored them all and checked the news. The headline made me freeze. Local woman claims husband's cyber-stalking campaign drove her to suicide attempt. The article was devastating. Taryn had apparently been hospitalized Monday night after what she claimed was a suicide attempt brought on by my relentless harassment campaign. She was quoted extensively, describing months of psychological torture and digital stalking that had destroyed her career and mental health. The article included quotes from Patricia Vance, her lawyer, calling for criminal charges. There were statements from Taryn's parents describing their daughter as a broken woman who'd been systematically destroyed by a vindictive ex-husband. Most damaging of all, the article included the fake screenshots of the threatening messages, presented as evidence of my harassment. My phone rang. Dave? Elliot, please tell me you didn't see the news. I saw it. Where are you? My apartment. There are reporters outside. Don't talk to them. Don't talk to anyone. I'm coming over. Dave, is this going to... We'll figure it out. Just stay put. I hung up and immediately called the hospital. After being transferred 3 times, I finally got through to someone who could give me information. Yes, Taryn Marner was admitted last night, the nurse confirmed. She's stable and in good condition. Was it really a suicide attempt? I can't discuss the details of her treatment, but let's just say she's going to be fine. The implication was clear. Whatever Taryn had done, it wasn't serious enough to put her in real danger. Dave arrived an hour later, pushing through the crowd of reporters with a no comment and a very serious expression. How bad is it? I asked. Bad. The story's gone national. A justice for Taryn is trending on Twitter. The local DA's office is getting calls demanding your arrest. But we have evidence that she's lying. Evidence that will take time to present properly. Meanwhile, she's controlling the narrative. Suicide attempts get sympathy. Cheating wives don't. I sank into my couch. So she wins? Not necessarily. Sasha's post goes live in 2 hours. That might change things. Will anyone care? A woman just tried to eliminate herself because of me, according to the news. Who's going to listen to evidence after that? Dave sat down across from me. People who care about the truth, and there are more of those than you think. At exactly noon, Sasha's blog post went live. The title was perfect. The Real Story: How I Was Scapegoated by a Cheating Influencer. The post was masterfully written, professional, detailed, and devastating. Sasha laid out the entire timeline of Taryn's deception, complete with screenshots, financial records, and witness statements. She explained how Taryn had tried to blame her for facilitating the affairs, then how Taryn had escalated to false police reports and fake harassment claims when the divorce proceedings began. Most importantly, she included evidence that Taryn's suicide attempt had been planned in advance as part of her legal strategy. Screenshots of messages between Taryn and Neil from Monday afternoon showed them discussing how a medical emergency would generate sympathy and put me on the defensive. The post went viral within an hour. The comments section exploded with people who'd been following the story. Taryn's former followers were furious at being manipulated. Other influencers shared their own stories of Taryn's deceptive practices. Even some of Neil's followers turned on him when they realized he'd been encouraging Taryn to fake a suicide attempt. By 3 p.m., Thorchant's Taryn Marnerly's was trending again, but this time it was people calling her out instead of supporting her. My phone rang. It was Detective Rodriguez. "Mr. Marner, I think we need to have another conversation. Can you come in? Am I in trouble? Just come in and bring your lawyer." Dave and I met Rodriguez at the police station. This time she had a thick folder of printouts from Sasha's blog post. "Mr. Marner, I've been reviewing the evidence that was published today. If this information is accurate, it appears that Ms. Marner has filed multiple false reports with this department." "The information is accurate," Dave said. "We can provide additional documentation to support everything in that blog post." "I'm particularly interested in these screenshots showing that she planned what she's calling a suicide attempt. Do you have the original messages?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots I'd saved. Rodriguez compared them to the printouts from Sasha's post. "These appear to be authentic. Mr. Marner, I owe you an apology. It looks like you've been the victim of a coordinated harassment campaign, not the perpetrator of one. What happens now?" "Now we investigate Ms. Marner for filing false police reports, fraud, and potentially criminal harassment. The DA's office has already called off their investigation of you." As we left the police station, Dave was grinning. "It's over, Elliot. She overplayed her hand and it backfired spectacularly." But I wasn't ready to celebrate yet. What about the divorce? With all this evidence of fraud and deception, you'll get everything: the house, the savings, probably damages for the harassment campaign. She'll be lucky if she doesn't end up in jail. That evening, the local news ran a follow-up story. The headline this time was, "Suicide Attempt Hoax. Local influencer accused of elaborate deception campaign." The story included interviews with Sasha, statements from the police department, and reactions from Taryn's former sponsors. Several companies announced they were considering legal action against her for fraud. Neil Porter issued a statement through his lawyer, claiming he'd been manipulated by Taryn and was seeking help for his poor judgment. His remaining sponsors dropped him anyway. Taryn's parents released a brief statement saying they were shocked and disappointed by the revelations and would not be supporting her legal defense. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake, Taryn's brother. "I'm sorry, man. I had no idea how far she'd gone. You deserve better than this family gave you." I was finally ready to celebrate.